what did I explore in season 2 musically? A lot of it was trying to pay homage to the music from season 1 while trying to bring something new to it, right? So I one of the things I was asked right from the beginning from Tony Gilroy was, we need new themes for new planets. So we have, for example, Yavin ironically never had a theme. So even though it's in A New Hope, it never really had a theme. In fact, a lot of the Yavin sequences are quiet. So big Yavin theme I had to write a big theme for Mina Rao, the big kind of wheat planet, and then expand on the themes that Nicholas Bertel had done, and then you're following all of these characters, like closing up their journeys, and so a lot of it was the score expanding as well. So, but then there was that handoff that was so important. That was like, we have to feel like episode 212, which is the last episode of the season, has to feel like it can lead right into Rogue One. And so that was a huge part of it, was trying to make that segue feel seamless.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So when do you want to be part of the process? How early in the process do you want to know kind of the direction you're going? Do you want it from day one? Do you want to see something on screen first? Where do you want to start?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I used to think I wanted to be on as early as possible, but now I found that it's good to read the script to kind of get ideas in your head, like of what the basic story is, but also maybe some of the elements that you could explore musically. And then I like to have experimental time while they're shooting to maybe try stuff, but I don't necessarily send it to them. And the reason is because I found as I've gotten older, it's better to let the filmmakers really sit with their film first, unless they ask and they say, hey, we want some thematic ideas.
Right.
And so I used to be so gung-ho. I was like, oh, I'm going to write this, and sometimes I think they can feel like you're putting your music onto their film before they've even had a chance to like sit with their edit. And so a huge part of it is giving them their time to discover what their film needs once they start sitting in the editing bay, and then say, okay, I like that. I happen to also be working. I tried a couple ideas. What do you think? And so I would say once they start getting a rough cut is the ideal time to start, at least my experience. I'm sure it's different for everybody. My experience has been rough cut is about the time that they seem to finally start thinking music.
Where they're going to be going flow-wise, emotion-wise, and everything, and that's when they bring you in to have that moment of...
Exactly.
To put the icing on the cake, essentially, at that point.
Correct. And I've had every scenario. I've been on super early, and that can backfire, and then I've been on super late where you're sometimes replacing somebody else's score. And when that happens, it's like a fire, and you're just trying to, the schedules are so tight, you don't have time to think, and sometimes good stuff comes from that too, because you're not second guessing.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Brendan, when you're reading the script, right? You say you read the script and you try to get involved in the movie. How does inspiration strike you? Do you read something and you're like, oh wow, I have a motif in my head, or are you making dinner the next day and you're like, and that humming just hits you?
No, it's kind of everything, because you might think of an instrument that that might be cool to explore that instrument in this, just from something that comes out from the story. It might be that you think that the whole palette of the score could be more electronic. Maybe there's something in the script that is very tech heavy and you're like, oh, this could be cool to explore electronically. Or maybe this script is so grounded that you're like, we want to use, even if we're processing instruments electronically, we should start with organic instruments. So it communicates all of that, the script can communicate all that, and then you can pretty much throw all that out of the window when you see the first footage. You're like, that is not what I thought it was going to look like, or that is not at all. So I would say there's a moment where you kind of regroup and reassess, and so you have to be willing to throw out your initial instincts, and I have had times where I knew I was right. I was like, this is what this needs. And then I finally got to talk to the director about the music, during the rough cut. He's like, whatever we do, I'm making it up, but let's say it was I know this needs flutes. It's going to be flute heavy, movie score. And then the first word out of my mouth, whatever you do, I hate flutes. Like, okay, it doesn't matter what I think at that point, so because we're not using flutes. So.
Well, do you ever push and advocate for
Yes.
it?
Okay. So then just to be, sometimes you'll do the same thing. I'll be like, I'm gonna make you like flutes somehow. So you
Sneak one in.
sneak a flute in, and occasionally you win. But sometimes they're like, why'd you put flutes in? I couldn't have been more clear about that. No, you're right. Thought I'd try.
So do you approach it from a soundscape first lens?
It depends on the film. It depends on the project. Sometimes if I know it's gonna be very melodic based, I'll come up with a theme first, regardless of the palette. Like if it works on the piano, and then sometimes I'll come up with something that's like texture based. Like if it's gonna be a texture heavy score. Every project's different. It just I cannot stress enough how it really feels like you're starting from ground zero on every project. Yeah.
What is the biggest difference in scoring a documentary like Free Solo versus an epic sci-fi like Andor?
Right. I don't. Well, the budget.
It's always the budget.
Yeah. Documentaries are like notorious for having, by the time they get to music, they have so little money. And Free Solo is not that case, but I don't see a difference. Like I still feel like you're dramatically trying to navigate the film and help the viewer, like handhold the viewer into feeling a certain thing at a certain time. The only difference, though, I think with documentaries is you have that element of, like, we call it talking heads, where there's like there's so much, there's so much two people talking about an event, and so sometimes that approach is, we call it like wallpaper, where you feel like you're kind of treading water musically while they talk about stuff, and the information they're giving in a documentary is so important that you don't want to draw too much attention to the score, but you do want to kind of help them along to make it feel less empty.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How much does genre influence? I mean, not only being in an iconic franchise, but genre. And then when the genre itself plays with kind of mixing elements of like spy thrillers, even though it's sort of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and you think, well, God, John Barry. I mean, whatever kind of might pop into your mind is something inspired you. How much does that sort of shape your discussion with yourself?
Oh, but you get to draw. I mean, that's, for me, that was the benefit of getting this when I was a little bit older. That had the benefit of pulling from a lot of different things I've done in the past in terms of, I know John Barry music very well. I got to do like obviously for like the espionage stuff, it pulls from elements of Bond, but it also pulls from elements of like John Powell's like the Born Identity stuff. Then there's elements of like kind of odd ethnic stuff for this source music and exploring cymbal and all these different instruments. So I would say this is one of those situations where like having a little bit more experience over the years gave me more tools in the tool belt, and so that was then you're given this palette, or you're given this like musical playground,
Right.
and that's what Star Wars has always been.
Right.
It's just like, it was amazing, and they were open to it.